Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be playing some Pokemon and reading some Lovecraft. And, having a drink too. Oh man, that smells like my cart. Alright. High up, crowning the grassy summit of a swelling mount, whose sides are wooded near the base with the gnarled trees of the primeval forest, stands the old chateau of my ancestors. For centuries, its lofty battlements have frowned upon the wild and rugged countryside about, serving as a home and stronghold for the proud house whose honored line is older even than the moss-grown castle walls. Oh, he doesn't have a... I'll just click earthquake. But, let's see here. These ancient turrets, stained by the storms of generations and crumbling under the slow yet mighty pressure of time, formed in the ages of feudalism one from the most dreaded and formidable fortress in all of France. From its maculated parapets and mounted battlements, counts, barons, and even kings have been defied, yet never had its spacious halls resounded to the footsteps of the invader. Oh, I guess I can just click earthquake and... Alright. But since those glorious years, all has changed. Poverty, but little above the level of dire want, together with a pride of name that forbids its alleviation by the pursuits of commercial life, have prevented the scions of our line from maintaining their estates in pristine splendor. In the falling stones of the walls, the overgrown vegetation in the parks, the dry and dusty moat, the ill-paved courtyards and toppling towers without, as well as the sagging floors, the worm-eaten wainscots, and the faded tapestries within, all tell a gloomy tale of fallen grandeur. As the ages passed, first one, then another of the great four turrets were left to ruin, until at last but a single tower housed the sadly reduced descendants of once mighty lords of the estate. Come on, dude, move. We don't have all day. Dumbass. Anyway. It was in one of the vast and gloomy chambers of this remaining tower that I, Antoine, last of the unhappy and accursed Counts de C, first saw the light of day 90 years ago. Within these walls and amongst the dark and shadowy forests, the wild ravines and grottos of the hillside below, were spent the first years of my troubled life. My parents I never knew. My father had been killed at the age of 32, a month before I was born, by the fall of a stone somehow dislodged from one of the deserted parapets of the castle, and my mother, having died at my birth, my care and education devolved solely upon one remaining servitor, an old and trusted man of considerable intelligence, whose name I remember as Pierre. Is he gonna fucking move? Come on, man. I don't have all day. There we go. Okay. Alright, using your brain. Nice. So, let's get Assault Cure started. Just for the sake of it. I don't really care about another Giga Drain. Let's be honest here. I'm not gonna stay in. Where was I? I was an only child, and the lack of companionship which this fact entailed upon me was augmented by the strange care exercised by my aged guardian, in excluding me from the society of the peasant children whose abodes were scattered here and there upon the plains that surrounded the base of the hill. At the time, Pierre said that this restriction was imposed upon me because my noble birth placed me above association with such plebeian company. Now, I know that its real object was to keep from my ears the idle tales of the dread curse upon our line that were nightly told and magnified by the simple tenantry as they conversed in hushed tones in the glow of their cottage hearths. Thus isolated and thrown upon my own resources, I spent the hours of my childhood in poring over the ancient tomes that filled the shadow-haunted library of the chateau, and in roaming without aim or purpose through the perpetual dust of the spectral wood that clothes the side of the hill near its foot. It was perhaps an effect of such surroundings that my mind early acquired a shade of melancholy. Those studies and pursuits which partake of the dark and occult in nature most strongly claimed my attention. Oh, shit. Oh, man. This battle is, it's going. And that's certainly, not the least creative thing I've seen out of an Electros. Not the best either. Of my own race, I was permitted to learn singularly little, yet what small knowledge of it I was able to gain seemed to depress me much. Perhaps it was at first only the manifest reluctance of my old preceptor to discuss with me my paternal ancestry that gave rise to the terror which I ever felt at the mention of my great house. Yet as I grew out of childhood, I was able to piece together disconnected fragments of discourse, let slip from the unwilling tongue which had begun to falter in approaching senility, and that had a sort of relation to a certain circumstance which I had always deemed strange, but which now became dimly terrible. The circumstance to which I allude is the early age at which all the counts in my mind had met their end. Whilst I had hitherto considered this but a natural attribute of a family of short-lived men, and began to connect them with the wanderings of the old man, who often spoke of a curse for which the centuries had prevented the lives of the holders of my title from much exceeding the span of 32 years. Upon my 21st birthday, the aged Pierre gave to me a family document, which he said for many generations had been handed down from father to son, and continued by each possessor. Its contents were of the most startling nature, and its perusal confirmed the gravest of my apprehensions. At this time, my belief in the supernatural was firm and deep-seated, else I should have dismissed with scorn. Oh, he forfeited. Well, I guess that puts an end to story time. I'll see you next time.